Hello everyone, how are you? I'm coming to you from the midst of lockdown number 2. That's why I'm in my spare bedroom in my house, not my studio. But that doesn't matter because we've got this to cheer us up, which is the brand new library from Get Good Drums, the One Kit Wonder Aggressive Rock Drum Library. So I thought today I would just sort of give you a whole entire walkthrough of what's in the new library, why we made it, what does it sound like, and some of the features in it. So if you aren't familiar with the One Kit Wonder series, essentially what this is a scaled down version of what we've done in the past with a single drum kit, and all these samples are pre-processed. Why have we done this? Basically, they're designed for instant creativity, songwriters, producers who are looking to just get instant mix ready drums up without having to mess with any settings and have them sound phenomenal. This is really great if you're writing music, if you're demoing ideas. It means you don't have to worry about having to mix the drums to get the whole thing sounding awesome. So on the screen you can see the user interface. It's nice and clean, very simple. So let's just dive straight into what they sound like. I'm going to go through each cymbal and drum, telling you what they are, what we recorded, and then showing you how they sound in isolation and then in a groove. So let's start with the snare, right? This is a Ludwig Supraphonic 14x6.5 COB snare. We made it so it sounds super punchy. This is what it sounds like. So as you can hear, there's loads of body, loads of attack, and we've got that nice room ambience coming through, which is really going to help it take up the space it needs to in your mix. Let's go to the kick next. This is a Tama Star Classic Maple 24x17 kick drum. So it's nice, it has a big wide diameter, and it's quite shallow, so that means it's going to be really sort of punchy and attack orientated, if you will. There's not a huge amount of sustain to it. So it's really punchy and it'll really cut through your mix as is needed in the aggressive rock genre. So now, the toms. These are matching toms to the kick drum. So Tama Star Classic Maple again. The floor tom is a 16x16, but with the rack tom, we thought we'd go a little bit crazy and do a 14x16. So it's an absolutely massive rack tom. And it gives you just these crazy drum tones. So this is the rack. So it's nice and tuned low, so it's going to give you all the sort of warmth and body that you want. The tuning is just perfect on this. It's got a lovely sort of pitch bend down and really pure. There's like, it just sounds great. And then onto the floor tom, again it's a 16x16. Awesome, they just sound sick. Okay, onto the cymbals. So it's a first for GGD, we actually did a set of Sabian cymbals, which is really exciting. We've got a new flavor to our libraries. So let's start with the hi-hat. This is a 14-inch Sabian HHX Evolution hi-hat. Now let's pop into the settings here, into the mappings, and I can show you what the different articulations of the hi-hat sounds like. And we have 3 degrees of openness. And of course we've got a pedal. So these are nice and bright and really articulate. For the 2 crashes in the library, we've got a set of HHX Evolution crashes. We've got an 18 on the left and a 19 on the right. All these cymbals were hand-picked to really suit one another and to provide the right sort of tones you need to fit the genre we were aiming for. So let's start with the 18 on the left. So even though it's an 18, it's still got that brightness that we want for that sort of aggressive rock, sort of radio-ready cymbal sound that we all know and love. And let's hear the 19 on the right. And of course, in the mappings tab, we've got chokes for both of those. So being from the same symbol line, they just match up perfectly. So for the splash, we've got another HHX Evolution, a 10-inch splash. Really cool sounding splash this, it's really fierce. And of course, you got your choke. Let's do China next and then Ride. So the China is one of my own cymbals actually, and it's my beloved 19-inch Sabian Paragon China. This was a line of cymbals actually sort of made in collaboration with Neil Peart. And you might not think Neil Peart when it comes to aggressive rock, but this China sounds so sick. And then, like all our other cymbals, we've got a choke. So as you can hear, it's got that really trashy sort of abrasive sound you want from a China in this genre, and that's going to cut through any kind of mix you've got. And then last but certainly not least is one of my favorite Sabian cymbals to exist. It's the 21-inch HH Raw Bell Dry Ride. This thing has got a beautiful stick definition and a killer bell. So this is what the bow sounds like. And then the bell is super sick. Super cutting, super lovely and articulate and bright. So then all the cymbals one after another. As you can hear, they all just come together really nicely as a set of cymbals. So let's hear what it sounds like in a groove. I'm just going to go and quickly program one because I forgot to do so beforehand. Okay, so I've gone and programmed a little groove, so let's see what that sounds like with everything in context together. So now let's walk through some of the features. So as you can see in the UI, it looks pretty simplistic, and we definitely wanted that with the One Kit Wonder series. We didn't want people to worry about the settings basically, but of course you can go in and alter some of them. So I want to start with just what we see on the main screen. We've got CPU scaling. This basically allows for older computers to still run our software. So if you've got a computer with a slightly less powerful CPU, you might want to consider putting it on low or medium. Over here, we have parallel and master EQ settings. So these are settings dialed in by Nolly on top of the pre-processed samples. So the parallel is a parallel compression, which is going to bring out some of the sustain in the whole kit. And the master EQ is basically what Nolly would put on his instrument bus or his master output to bring up some bass and high end to make it just that extra sort of polished sound. So let's loop this again and turn those on and off. I'll start with them both off. So as you can hear, parallel really helps bring out the body, the sustain and some of the room, and master EQ just gives it a little bit low end and that sheen. So here we have a reverb and a master output fader. Now the reverb's pretty subtle, but we can go in and exaggerate that in the mixer window, which you accessed by clicking this mixer button here. In here you can change the volume of each channel, so we've got kick, snare, tom 1, tom 2, overheads, mono and room. You might be wondering, why haven't we included the different kick mics? Why haven't we done snare top, snare bottom? The entire point of the One Kit Wonder is everything is as stripped back and as quick as possible to get those mix-ready drum tones into your songwriting, into your demos, or into your full productions. We've got a solo, a mute, and a balance button for each channel available. If you click the balance, it's going to open this extra little window, and we can go into here and change the balance of the full mix on this channel from in the close mic, the overhead mic, the mono mic, the room mic, and the reverb. So changing the mono here isn't going to change the mono fader, it's going to change the amount of kick in the mono room. Likewise for the room, overhead, the close mic, and the reverb. So this is where we can start getting more reverb into the mix if we want to start pumping that up. I like my kick kind of dry, so I'm going to keep it pretty low. You get the same settings on each drum channel, and then when you get to the overhead, mono, and room, slightly less, you have hi-hat, ride, cymbals, and reverb for each. As you can see here on each channel, you do still have the option to route them out to your DAW. Just like our previous libraries, this will allow you to do some extra processing if you wish. Something to note here is that the parallel and reverb, these are by default locked to the first channel. So if you want to isolate those to process, you would want to start your kick on the second output, because reverb and parallel compression are going to be going through the first. So you just do kick on 2, snare on 3, etc. So that is the main overview. We do have this MIDI player, but we'll get into that in a second. In the settings, we've got the mapping. So these are the different MIDI notes each articulation is mapped to. You can, of course, change these. You can also, this is another useful tip that we still get questions about. Say if you want to do a cross stick, but it's just a little bit too quiet for your mix, even at full velocity, you can go in and individually change the gain of each articulation using this little slider here. You have some mapping options if you want to import, export, save, clear the map, shift it by semitones, or load another preset. Here we have the velocity curve, so you can dial in the kind of velocity response you want. This is especially useful if you're running this on an E-kit. And here you have the hi-hat CC options, which means you can map the hi-hat correctly to your E-kit hi-hat. That's one of the things this One Kit Wonder series is awesome at, is using on E-kits. Because the samples are pre-mixed, that means you don't have to do the mixing in your DAW before hitting your E-kit, which drastically reduces any lag. So, in the groove player, you can see that we have some free MIDI grooves. What do you get with the One Kit Wonder Aggressive Rock library? By default, you get one song from the Anoop Sastry MIDI pack, you get one song from the Matt MIDI pack, and then you also have the GGD Free Grooves Volume 1 and Volume 2. So these are altogether 24 songs of free grooves for you to load. You load them up by double clicking them and then drag from here or the Xbox from the export button into your DAW. Do I want to include the tempo information? No, for this I want to keep it the original project tempo that I have. And then you can go in and edit the velocities as you wish. Right. If you want more MIDI grooves to play with, you can go and buy more from our website. The About section just has a nice little message, has our website, and a shiny logo. Can you change the tunings of the individual drums? Not in the One Kit Wonder series, as I've said before, we just wanted to keep this streamlined. You can change the tuning of the entire library with this knob here. So one cool thing you can achieve using this is you can load a second instance of Aggressive Rock and then tune the entire instance down, and then you could have a second floor tom if you wished. Well, I hope you enjoy this video. I hope you can see how sick this Aggressive Rock library is, because we're really excited about it. Thank you very much, and I will see you next time.